Welcome to Let's Be Well Together podcast. We're your wellness check-in team. Join us each week or when you can. We enjoy exploring wellness concepts and reminding you to make time for wellness.
This is episode 98. Hello, everyone. It's Elise Seifert here with Julie Wilson.
Hi, Elise.
Hey, Julie. Today, we're going to be talking about environmental wellness. And we're going to be focusing on a BuzzFeed article entitled 31 Ways to Reduce Waste in Your Home.
Elise, did you see the side effects? The quote about the side effects?
No, I did not.
It may include, and I love this, fewer trips to take out the trash and shorter shopping lists. I love it.
Those are great side effects. It was posted on BuzzFeed on August 13th, 2023, and it was written by Danielle Healy. Today, we're just going to focus on the first 10 items on this list because we do think it's a very important topic, and we'd love to come back to this article to focus on the remaining 21. So starting with our first item on the list, the first way to reduce waste in your home is to separate food scraps with a dishwasher-safe compost bin. Second, instead of a compost bin, you could opt for a scrap freezer bin. Third, you could stop plowing through lint rollers with a patented pet hair remover. And this remover uses bristles rather than that sticky tape for lint. Fourth, we have improve your Swiffer experience with reusable mop pads. Fifth, save loads of money in plastic when you use reusable K-cups.
And the sixth one, avoid paper filters and instead use a stainless steel coffee filter when you're brewing your coffee in the morning. Seventh is skip the bulky plastic jugs and messy blue goo with laundry detergent sheets. Number 8, ditch dryer sheets for some dryer balls. Number 9, silicone baking mats. And 10, quit spending money on single-use paper towels and use the absorbent Swedish dishcloths instead. Elise, I want to ask you, of these 10, are there a couple that you have implemented in your home? So that's one question. And then the second question I want to ask you is, of those 10, are there any that you would like to implement at home?
So I always tell people about the laundry detergent sheets. These are kind of like foam pieces of paper that you just stick directly into your laundry machine and it acts as your laundry detergent. I love them because they're less messy than either the liquid detergent or the powdered detergent. And I used to always be a pods kind of person because I hated the mess of the liquid detergent. But I find this is much less waste.
I have never heard of these and I love the idea. I'm going to buy some of these.
They're incredible and they come in this small cardboard packaging. So you really feel good about the amount of waste that you're creating just because it's so much more reduced.
How many come in a pack?
They typically range from 50 or 100.
Okay. And are there different scents, that type of thing?
There are, yeah. There are different scents. There are many different brands now. I first saw them on the show Shark Tank.
Oh, cool.
And they come in large strips and you cut them in half.
Oh,
smaller
interesting.
Load, or you use the full strip for a larger load. And for me, it's also very helpful because I live in an older home. There's not a lot of storage in my house. So I never really had a lot of places to store those big containers of laundry detergent. So that's another plus.
Brilliant. Brilliant. That is awesome. I am definitely going to be buying some of these.
I could probably talk about those for another 20 minutes, but I'll move on. Another one that I was surprised to find out existed were the reusable K-cups. So this is for your Keurig machine. And instead of using a disposable cup, it's a plastic cup that you can fill with coffee grounds. I find it's very economical for me because I just buy a bigger tub of coffee grounds And then I'm not wasting all of those small plastic tubs every time I take a coffee.
There are a lot of those in my garbage right now. And so I can only imagine how much you save in terms of, just that plastic waste. It's great as well because you can just open these up and put the coffee grinds right into your compost bin. You can just open up the lid and put the grinds right into the compost bin or right into your garden, I suppose, too.
Yeah, so good for your garden. I do find on the downside, they're a little more work. So you have to fill them and empty them. And sometimes they can be a bit messy. But I think as a whole, there are way more advantages.
They're
in terms
great.
of your second question, one of the 10 that I'd like to start using is reusable mop pads for my Swiffer. I absolutely love using my Swiffer, but I do use the single-use Swiffer pads. And I know something I've been trying to explore is getting back into knitting. So I'm thinking maybe I could knit a mop pad. I know I've seen some patterns online.
Wow. Okay. So if you start knitting some, then I'm going to buy some from you.
Perfect.
Because I love that idea. And on that note, I was at some event and there were booths, and it was that time period where ShamWow was all over the news and everyone was talking about ShamWow. And at the time I bought 2 very large swatches of, I'm not exactly sure what kind of material it is, but it's been sitting in my closet forever. And I thought, why don't I take one of those single Swiffer sheets, measure it on my ShamWow, and I can reuse my little ShamWow sheets now. They're easy. You just throw it in the laundry, and then I've got instant Swiffer sheets. It's brilliant. They work really well.
Economical.
Yeah.
All right. So you use reusable Swiffer mop pads. Are there any other of these 10 items that you use, Julie? And is there any item that you would like to start using?
So I'm going to talk a little bit about the first and the second because we use, and I'm in the Milton area, so we have a green bin program. So we definitely use the compost bin, and we can put, oh goodness, there's a lot of things we can put in, including, any meat products, and then you can put the paper towels in, eggshells, coffee grinds, everything. The reason I brought that up is it's slightly different than, so my dad, and probably you, because I think you mentioned to me that you don't have a green bin program, but my dad's in the country and you can't put meat or meat products outside because it draws the animals. So I find that's really interesting, which leads to number 2 on the list. And that was about the freezer packs, because we will often do that is if we do have any meat products, we'll put them in a bag and that goes directly into the freezer until the next day or until the next time when we have the green bin pickup. So once a week. So there's 2 there that we definitely use in my home. In terms of one that I would like to implement, well, I think we already talked about the laundry sheets. You've got me sold on those. But the pet hair remover. So I use the lint rollers, but the ones with the sticky paper. And the ones in this article with the bristles, I love it. So not only, for your clothes, but, all the dog hair or cat hair. It looks like it's very effective, whether it's your clothes or it could be furniture, anything. It looks like they're using it on. So I want to look into that product as well.
Yeah, I'm watching their little video that they have alongside the article, and it looks very effective. I'm sold.
Exactly. So I think they have a couple new customers for a couple of the different products. And then if you start your own little business of knitting the Swiffer pads, or maybe even dishcloths, well, you'll have a customer in me.
Amazing. And another aspect of the article I really like is that there are lots of links to these products as well, if you're interested in purchasing them. So the article again was on BuzzFeed, and it's entitled 31 Ways to Reduce Waste in Your Home.
Guests are giving their time, expanding our minds. Today's interview is in the categories of mental and physical wellness. We often think about the medical implications of a cancer diagnosis. There are other impacts, particularly trauma. And today we speak with Ellyn Winters-Robinson about how it felt to receive a diagnosis. As usual, we're not trying to speak for everyone. Ellyn is sharing her own story and experiences. Welcome, Ellyn.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
Ellyn Winters-Robinson is a recent breast cancer survivor, co-creator of www.askellyn.ai, and that's ELLYN for Ellyn, a breast cancer chatbot, and the world's first conversational AI for those on the breast cancer journey. She's also the author of the best-selling book, Flat Please, Hold the Shame, a girlfriend's companion guide for those on the breast cancer journey, available for purchase on Amazon. For the last 15 years, Ellyn has been the co-founder and chief marketing officer of Ignition Communications, a boutique marketing communications firm, and a longtime mentor at the Accelerator Center. Ellyn's story has been featured on numerous podcasts, People Magazine, The Globe and Mail, CTV, and Global. Today, Ellyn, I'd like to talk a little bit about the trauma you mentioned to me when we were setting this up, about how it felt when you were diagnosed. And if I could, can we start just by what led to the diagnosis? Were you feeling bad? Was it just a regular checkup? What happened?
Yeah, it was actually not even that. I am a woman who is very vigilant with her health and would go for the regular, pap smears and mammography checks. And in fact, I had scheduled a mammogram in October for May. Just because of COVID, there was a little bit of a delay. And I was sitting in the bathtub in January of 2022 and doing a self-exam, which women should always do, of their breasts, and found a lump. And that's where things started.
So this all happened basically just a year and a half ago.
Yeah, it's been 18 months since I was diagnosed. Yeah.
Then what happened in terms of a diagnosis?
Obviously, the lump, led me to question what was going on. And so I went to the family doctor, I would say in January. I sort of sat on it for a couple of weeks because, as you do, you just are sort of in disbelief that there's this problem that's occurring. And so I went to the doctor, and I already had a mammogram scheduled in March. So they sort of changed its criteria from a routine mammogram to a diagnostic mammogram. And it was a matter of a couple of hours, I think, during the day that they actually moved it and expedited it. So went in, had the mammogram and an ultrasound, and that was about 1:00 in the afternoon. I headed home, jumped on a call with a client, and by 4:00, my doctor's office was calling. So there was something of concern that they had found. And it turned out to be, in hindsight, it turned out to be cancer. I had actually 3 nodes of concern within my left breast, one of which was at the time of 3.8 centimeters. So it was a large cancer that had developed within a period of 2 and a little bit years.
I think we've had that experience, many of us, where you go and get a test and then the doctor calls and you're surprised. Did you have that kind of feeling right away, kind of that stomach dropping or something?
Absolutely. I mean, my doctor had said to me when I met with her in the office, she said, if I email you, it's not a concern. If I call, it's worrisome. And so when she called, I knew. And it was interesting because when she called, it was about 3 something in the afternoon, and I was on a call with another client and had to drop the call to take this one. And I called back, but the doctor's office had actually stopped answering the phone at 4:00 in the afternoon. And so I wasn't able to actually get a direct answer from my doctor until the Monday morning. But I knew I knew at that point. And I literally ran upstairs, called my husband in a panic, ran upstairs, crawled into bed, and just started to cry because I knew that there was something terribly wrong.
I was expecting to find out that you received the diagnosis in a meeting, whether with a doctor or oncologist, but it sounds like you kind of figured it out on your own. You had the diagnosis on your own and then just had to deal with it on your own without anyone there.
Yeah, you had to deal with it on your own and over a period of days. So that was kind of the start of the trauma, was, really knowing what you knew, being an educated woman and being someone who the doctor had already set things up. You knew that this was where things were going. And so just having to deal with that and process it over a period of a few days was the start of the trauma.
If it was in my house, I imagine, though, that there would be lots of denial and bargaining, in the sense that, you might be saying, well, no, don't think like that. Think positive. I might, as the husband, be saying, you don't know yet. It's not sure. Maybe it's minor. Maybe something else. Did that kind of thing happen?
It did, absolutely. And my husband absolutely bargained. And I think as a guy, you want to try and fix things.
True.
That's just your mindset. And unfortunately, I knew, because of the information that my doctor had given me and just this inner knowing of your body, that there was something terribly wrong, that I knew it was more serious than he was sort of playing it out to be, because what you just said was exactly what he said to me. And in some ways, that's actually quite frustrating for someone who's been diagnosed or knows they're going to be diagnosed, because it sort of diminishes what you're going through.
I'm the worst because I'm not only a man, but a lawyer. And I've been trying to get better. I've been trying to get better at just listening, doing some active listening and that kind of thing. But it is really tough, because I would also want it not to be true. And I would want to find some way to convince myself of that. Mm-hmm. So what were some of the kind of thoughts and feelings that you were going through from your own perspective?
Oh, my gosh. I mean, in those early days, it was just terrible. I, sort of rolling forward from this, conversation with the doctor. And I mean, literally on Monday morning, she said, you have cancer. Like, there was no denying it. The rate, they call it BI-RADS, which is the rating score that they apply to radiography, showed that I had cancer.
Can I just stop you for a sec?
Yeah.
So can you just kind of set that scene? So then, Monday morning, did you get a call back to come in, or did you just go in and then?
So it was still by phone. I was actually supposed to talk with her about noon, and she was compassionate enough to call me at 9:00 in the morning on Monday morning. And she said, look, we've found 3 nodules in your left breast, one of which is 3.8 centimeters. And I was like, say that again. I couldn't believe that I had grown a tumor of that size in that time frame, because I had had a clean mammogram in 2019. And she said, they're showing what they call BI-RADS 5, which is on BI-RADS 0 is there's nothing wrong. BI-RAD 5 is this is highly suspicious of cancer. And all 3 tumors were showing BI-RAD 5. So they had something called spiculation, which is like little tentacles that go out from the tumor. And so that shows that it's growing and they're growing together. And so that was very clear. So, that was just a confirmation for me of what I already kind of knew in my heart was the truth.
What's so surprising is that this comes right out of the blue. You're living your life. Everything seems fine. One day you notice something, and a few days later you have this. I'm just going to kind of ask a few broad questions, and you can take it in whatever direction. But you talk about the trauma. You talk about feeling alone. You talk about trauma not only for you, but also for family members. Can you tell us a little bit about those experiences?
I mean, certainly there's the moment of disbelief because, to your point, with everything you talk about, which is around health, I was very healthy. I was the girl who committed to health. I went for my checks. I did my exams. I breastfed my children. I ate healthy. I drink responsibly. I don't smoke. I'm not overweight. None of these sort of factors. I have no family history of breast cancer at all, which I have since to learn is only in 15% of people. Right? So
Okay.
85% of people that have breast cancer have no family history.
Oh, I see.
And so that was shocking to me in the first place. And then on top of that, to be able to navigate this trauma of being told you have cancer and then, oh, we're ordering you a surgical consult and a biopsy, but it's not going to happen for 4 weeks. It was the most traumatic period I've ever had in my life. I didn't know how to handle it. My family didn't know how to handle it. It was a terrible 4 weeks.
When people talk to you about that, so I know through your programs and the amazing AskEllyn.ai that you run and your Instagram and whatnot and all your social media, that people contact you often. And what is it that you tell them if they come to you and say, oh my goodness, this is happening to me? With the benefit of hindsight, what kind of things can you tell them?
You know, it's kind of it's a rewarding thing because I will talk to them. And usually if someone contacts me through one of these means and they've just recently been diagnosed, I'll often get on a call with them just because they need to hear a human voice. And that was something that I found was very helpful to me. And it's that hand to hold. I can't predict what the future is going to look like for someone, but I can be there for them in that moment. And what is very fulfilling is to see that someone who has been diagnosed, has been in this traumatic place, and to watch them come out the other side after treatment and then start to want to help others and to feel more empowered in their journey. That is, I mean, it's hard because you're taking on a lot of trauma in addition to your own trauma, but at the same time, it's very rewarding to see how people come out the other side.
We are flying through our time, which often happens. Couple things. So I'll give you a silly analogy. I like to run marathons. I think I might be done, but I've run a bunch. And people are on the sidelines, and some things people say to me to cheer me on, give me a lot of energy. And sometimes it's terrible. I just want to say, like, so when people say, you're almost done, it's like, shut up. Or if they say, you look great, I'm like, no, I don't. But if they say, you know, be strong or something else, it might work. You said that people talking to you, that was a big help in that time. What are some of the things that people either said or did by listening that gave you some strength or calmness?
It's funny because my husband, God bless him, I love him dearly, but he said and did everything wrong.
Right.
And the phrase that I cannot abide is, you've got this. It puts so much pressure on the person that has been diagnosed. And I remember thinking to myself, I don't have this. I am so scared. I am so terrified. And to diminish what someone is going through at that moment is really hard. And I understand where that comes from, because that's the person that is giving that information is just trying to make sense of it themselves. I think the best thing to do for anyone who is going through a very terrible diagnosis, whether it's cancer or anything else, is just to sit with them and just say, I don't get what you're going through. I'm just going to hold your hand and I'm going to feed you nuts and tea and just be there to listen and receive. I had a friend who did that, and that was amazing.
So supporting,
there's nothing you can say that is going to make it better.
So supporting and listening and asking what they can do and that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, there were a whole bunch of other questions I wanted to ask. Before I turn to the question I ask every guest, though, is there anything else that you would like to say to people on this topic?
that a cancer journey is hard and ugly and probably one of the worst things that you're going to go through in your life. And yet, I will look back at this with gratitude because it brings to you some of the most amazing people that you'll ever meet in your life. There are people that will come out of the woodwork that do exactly what I just said. They will sit with you. They will hold your hand. They will express compassion. I think you'll meet the most amazing healthcare workers. It's incredibly frightening at the beginning and intimidating, but there's an element of transformative behavior that happens here that is really quite profound.
And then on the bright side, to hopefully leave our guests with some optimism too, I think you got through it, right? Are you cancer-free now?
As far as I know, yes. I was, I hope, cancer-free at the time of my surgery because I had a double mastectomy and I had lumpectomy. And so the cancer was removed then. And then all the treatments I've had, so chemotherapy and radiation, were really more preventative in nature. So as far as I know, fingers crossed, I have a cruise booked for when I'm 97. So we're very hopeful that we've been able to conquer the cancer. But, live every day, right? As we should always.
It's really great that you're willing to share this experience so other people can hear. And, maybe some of us go through something similar and we'll have heard from somebody who has gone through it. Or maybe we'll know someone who gets diagnosed, and I won't say all the things that I shouldn't say, which I'm probably inclined to say. So thanks very much. Now, our show is about wellness, and we talk about 8 categories of wellness. And we ask every guest the same question in a context where we have these areas, but not enough time to focus on all of them at any given time. So we essentially do a mini wellness check-in. So the question is, are you currently neglecting an area of wellness in your life? And if so, can you think of even one thing you can do to foster wellness in that area?
That's a really good question. I'm really good with physical exercise. That's a big part of my life. But I don't think that I'm really resolving the trauma that I have been through. So the mental wellness piece of it, I actually have a counseling appointment booked with a trauma therapist because I feel like there's a lot that needs to be dealt with and released. And so I think the mental wellness piece, I tend to veer toward I'm fine, I'm good, I'm all good. And that's what my family wants to hear. And that's what I want to hear, but I'm not. And so I think acknowledging that is a big piece of my recovery.
Well, I can imagine that there would be a lot to think about and work on in that area. And so I hope, and I wish you all the success in it.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, thanks again so much for your time. We really appreciate it.
I'm Cameron, and welcome to another installment of the Adventures of the Starving Artist. Today I'm just going to talk about one of the tools or the approaches that I use when I'm writing for myself or writing for somebody else, mostly in terms of harmony. So that's the chords, the music that supports the melody, basically. And one of the things I like to do is take a basic move and spice it up a little. And so I wanted to take you through a couple ways that we could spice up a really simple chord progression. So this progression, it just moves down chromatically major chords. It goes from A flat to G flat. So the normal plain Jane version sounds like this. There are tons of different spots you could use this, but it's just as an example, okay? So 3 of the exact same type of chord, a major triad, just moving down. One little step, and then another little step. That's it. One more time, here's the sound. So if I were writing and this was the move that came up in the song, whether I came up with it or a co-writer or whatever, this was the move we're playing with. The first thing I would do to spice it up is think of how can I make each of these chords a little bit stronger on their own. so that moving through them doesn't just feel like stepping around. It's kind of like, whoa, they're strong steps. And then that would be somewhere I might throw in a flat 7. So I would call these dominant chords now. So it's A flat 7, G 7, and G flat 7. Here's the updated sound. So that's a little spicier, right? It's got some more fun. Just for reference, here's Plain Jane and the new one. So you can hear it, right? It's got a little more life. It's got a little more something in that second example. But we can take this further. If we change these 7 chords into what's called a 9 chord, basically we're going to throw a different note in there. Another note, I should say. You're going to hear the sound get even cooler. Check this out. These are all 9 chords. Now we've got a pretty sophisticated sound. This is cool, and you'll hear this around, it's in jazz, of course, but it's in other kinds of music too. Let's listen to these 3, original, 7s, and 9s. Super cool sound. You can hear it developing, hey? So these are called chord extensions or tensions, depending on if we alter them or not. But basically, they go outside of an octave and make an even more colorful part of the sound. The last one I want to talk about is my personal favorite. These are the 13 chords. So we're going to change that 9 into number 13. Check these out. Oh, so good. I love that sound. I think it's so cool. It's got more of an angular sound. It's a little bit off kilter, but gosh, it sounds good. All right, so let's go through them all one more time and listen to the evolution. Here's major chords. 7s. 9s. And my favorite, 13. Super cool. This has been Nerding Out with Music. I'm just kidding. That's one of the ways that I like to change stuff up when I'm writing for myself or with or for other people. It's how can I take a simple move and spice things up in a way that not only sounds cool, but suits the song. And that can be different for every song, right? Anyway, that's it from me today. I'd be curious to hear about which one you like the best. Which of those sounds is your personal favorite? Anyway, have a great week. Thanks for listening. I'm Cameron. This is The Starving Artist. Until next time.
We don't have any ads yet, and that's on purpose. We're sharing stories and experiences to give back, to inspire, and get people talking about wellness. 2 quick points. My personality is to present things in a progression. Once I cover a point, I often don't go back to it. If you want to see the whole picture about wellness I'm trying to paint, listen to all our episodes from the start. Second, it's costly to put out a podcast. You can help me defray that cost by buying my book, Accidentally Well by John Webster. It's available on Amazon, Indigo, or anywhere you buy books online. Please consider buying a copy.
Move that body like we're meant to do. Well, hi everyone. It's Sheila here with John.
Hello.
And I have something really interesting that's going to move our body. It's starting in the end of January. And I have been wanting to do this for a really long time. John and I are going to do ballroom dancing.
It's bad, really, because I know it's been something that I think you would like, and I keep meaning to do it. I keep thinking it would be great if we could do that, and I'm willing to do it, even though I got 2 left feet, but I'm willing to do it. But for whatever reason, all these years later, and it never seems to have happened.
Well, I think it's a time thing because you need both of us, obviously. And so when you have really young kids and you're both trying to get everything done, it's hard enough to try and get the kids to where they got to go and get them fed and get school done. So that's not a time that we can do it. And then now it's been, we should do this. Oh, maybe we should do this. And then my sister did it and we're like, oh, maybe we should do it with them. But the day didn't work. So I just found out that there's some classes going on and we're just going to do it. We're not doing it with anyone else. It's just you and I. And I love to dance, obviously, but I've never ballroom danced. So it's going to be quite different because the problem with ballroom dancing is the guy has to lead.
Well, okay. There's two pieces to that puzzle. The guy has to lead, but the woman has to let the guy lead.
The woman has to let the guy lead, but also the woman has to follow. And those are just really hard things for me to do.
Well, especially because I don't know where to go, because I have this quote book, and one of the quotes has to do with leadership. It says something like, in order to be a leader, you have to have somewhere to go. and so you know where I'm supposed to go, and you want to take me there. I don't know where I'm supposed to go, but I'm supposed to lead you there. It's all pretty confusing.
It is really going to be confusing. So it's just really great that we're doing this class. So what am I hoping to get out of this class besides some social time with you and learning some ballroom dancing? I'm really hoping that you and I can get a little bit more compatible with our dancing. Because whenever we go to dance, usually at weddings or events, and I kind of do all the dancing and John stands there and looks pretty. And I make him look good because we're moving, but I'm doing all the work.
I took from that you think I look pretty. So thank you.
He looks great. And everyone always thinks that we look so great on the dance floor. But
Sheila's doing all the work.
Yeah, I would really like it if we were actually doing the proper dance moves. So we learn like a merengue and a cha-cha and a tango and a waltz, the proper steps.
Well, to take this from the sphere of maybe more flip side back to move that body, I love it too, because especially as, we have more time, we're probably going to be at places where we can dance more. Mm-hmm. And moving that body isn't always just exercise. Mm-hmm. I mean, sure, you exercise regularly and that's always important. There's so many opportunities in the day to exercise. Mm-hmm. And dancing is a great one. It's not like super athletic. It's not super aerobic, but it sure does help if you can incorporate that more and more into things.
I agree. Doing a scheduled class and going and doing that exercise is really great. And I disagree. I think dance is very aerobic,
even if it's
and
just
very
ballroom?
athletic.
Okay. No, I know your dances. I'm talking about ballroom dancing.
I think it can be for sure. I don't think ours will be because it's like a beginner, but it can be, right? You're working for a good hour and moving in
that's
1,
true.
2, 3, right?
Like the lessons themselves are a bit of a move that body type exercise.
Exactly. Yeah. I don't think it really matters how you move your body. It's just that you are moving your body. And I also think it's really great to move it differently. And I think we're going to find that we are doing that with this ballroom class.
The other thing I like too, for me, a lot of times you see the woman asking the guy to dance and he's like, I'm not really good at it. A lot of it's confidence, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, for
if
sure.
I can learn, now we have done little things. You've taught me some ballroom moves before, but it seems to me like you have to teach me every week for a while. And then it doesn't seem to last in my memory very long. So this time I'm going to really try and do a better job at remembering. And it might be easier if it's somebody else teaching me than you. Like that's always kind of tricky when it's somebody who's teaching you.
I definitely agree that I'm hoping that with a different teacher that they can help. And when they're watching us dance, they'll probably give us more direction on what we're doing right and what we're doing wrong. Because when you're with your partner dancing, you don't kind of see all that. So I do think having someone helping us and helping together will make us more compatible together. So we decided that we'd come on the podcast and talk about us starting the ballroom classes.
Hoping to start it.
Oh no, we totally will start it.
Okay.
But then maybe it's like a 10, 14 week session, something like that. So when we're done it or halfway through it, we'll come back on and tell you how we actually did.
Okay. That sounds like fun. There's a thought. Popped up while running. I've been lucky and I've been able to run along the water on some of my runs this week. Running along a lake with the waves coming in, especially when it's a bit wavier, you notice it more. It's always been something that just calms me and I feel connected to it. And here's my crazy thought that I had today. I know it's just nuts, but still, it was a pop-up, so here it is. The principles of physics and the way the atmosphere works and the winds and hitting the shore, it's all part of the rules. It's all part of the way our cosmos works. And so here on Earth, it has an impact on the things that we touch and see. But out in space, there's other impacts. The way planets are formed, the way supernovas happen, and all these things. And I always think there's something inside of us, the subconscious, which, among other things, maybe it connects with the cosmos in ways we don't understand. And so maybe when we run along the water and we're noticing these rules applying and we're hearing the results through the waves sloshing up against the shore, maybe that's something connecting with us inside, reminding us that we're part of the cosmos, reminding us that we're connected to so many things. It's me. Am I?
Yeah. Just let me say, flip side of the coin.
Hello, everyone. It's Elise and Steven here for another edition of Flip Side of the Coin.
Awesome. I'm ready.
So today, Steven, we were hoping to talk about our life in Korea.
I love this topic. It was such a big part of my life, and it was obviously pivotal for the two of us. Because, just a reminder to the listeners, it was where you and I met.
That's right. And today we really want to focus on what we were doing in Korea, so our job there. And that is where we met because we taught at the same school.
Yeah. So our school that we taught at, it's actually called a hagwon. And that is just a term for an academy, an after-school academy. And there were several different types of academies. You've got academies for math and science, and of course, for English.
Mm-hmm. So we had a lot of students who would come to see us twice a week, maybe 3 times a week. And when they were not at our academy, they were at a math academy or Korean academy or science academy.
Or my favorite, badminton academy.
Oh, my favorite was homework academy, where they learned how to manage all of their homework from school and their academies. So I think what I learned when I arrived there was that education was very important in Korea.
Education was important, and also very importantly, English as a second language was such a big importance because that was how you set yourself apart from the competition. Just to give you a reminder, I'm from Ohio, and South Korea is roughly the same size of Ohio. And currently, I think Ohio's population is around 13 million, and Korea is somewhere in the neighborhood of about 40 million people. So 40 million people are competing for the same roles, the same jobs, the same opportunities. And in order to distinguish yourself, you're looking outside of that country, right? Mm-hmm. So you want to move to a country such as Canada or Australia or the United States or the UK.
That's right. So our job was really to help students build skills to be able to get into those universities. And particularly, we're trying to help them be able to pass a test that would help to test their English abilities. And that test score is what English-speaking universities would use to determine if these students could attend their universities. So we were teaching at this after-school academy, and our hours were 2 to 10.
Yeah, so we did not see eye to eye on those hours, like how we enjoyed those. I am a morning person. I want to get things knocked out of the way as soon as I can, and then be able to kind of relax or decompress in the afternoon, the evening, and do some things that way. But I understand you did not feel that same way at that time.
At that time, no, I quite liked the schedule. I liked that I could wake up, go grocery shopping, maybe go for a run or go to the gym, and then start my day at work and end my day at work. I think it was because I had grown up at the dance studio after school hours all of the time. So I was kind of used to that lifestyle. But I have to admit, at this point in my life, I would not like it at all. I much prefer now to get things done in the morning. But at the time, I quite enjoyed it. And I was in my early 20s. Maybe it was just I had a different kind of schedule going on in my life, and that was okay for me. So that was something you definitely had to get used to.
Right. So each day we would teach 2 sets of students. We had the young students who were in elementary, and then afterwards there was a short break, and then we taught students that had just started middle school. And it was quite different. You could see the change, not just in their physical age or their size, but also in their demeanor. Could you share about that?
Yes. So I know my elementary school students were very lively. They loved to share their interests. They were really excited to speak and talk in our classes. Whereas the middle school students, they would only speak if they were asked to speak, and they were very quiet. Some of them, you would have students maybe falling asleep at their desk because they were so tired from their full day of learning. It seemed like they were just exhausted.
Yeah, it really did. And it was funny because I saw a lot of that. And we also taught different levels, even within the elementary students versus the middle school. You taught a lot of the younger beginning students in the elementary because they saw that you were bubbly and you just had that smile that beamed. And I usually had sort of the intermediate level where I was working on their pronunciation skills and their vocabulary and this and that and putting sentences together. And then in the middle school level, I was often with the higher level students as well. And that really showed me that if these students can do it, then man, I think, could I have made it in that time? Could I have done it if I were in their shoes?
These students were incredible. The caliber of work that they would produce in their second language, maybe even third language, if some of them had been taking other languages on top of English. It was just incredible. They are such hardworking students.
And I think back on that job, and I think that I picked up quite a few skills that I can use in my role today, and I'm so happy for that experience.
Please remember that we're not providing advice. We hope to inspire you to work towards balance, and we urge you to consult with qualified people if you need advice. The people on the show are speaking in their personal capacities. Their views expressed are their own, and don't represent the views or opinions of their outside contacts, their employers, or anyone else. We try to get things right, but we can't guarantee everything we say is correct, or that the things we talk about will work for you. Let's be well together, and let's be sure to do that in a safe way. It is sign-off time. We're at the end of the episode. It's John here with Sheila and Elise.
Hi.
Hey.
I'm not really sure what to say, which probably means I'm pretty busy. I know that I had some holiday party events this week. There's been some office events, lunches and whatnot. It's that holiday, wonderful time of year. But at the same time, lots of busy work to do. So trying to keep up on that. And of course, the whirlwind of the holidays coming up. So, we try and get things done so we can have that time off. So I'm kind of in that mode right now, just moving along. I have to say, though, I just read 2 incredible books recently. So I'm just really stoked about that. And I'll have more to say as things go forward. So it was one of those weeks. How about you, Sheila?
Well, I had a fun time going to the event at the library. What was that about?
So it was a Waterloo Law Association holiday get-together.
And I wasn't invited. So John was just like, hey, I want, can Sheila come? So I came. I felt a little bit out of place because I was the only one who was not connected with it. But it was fun to see everyone. I did know some of them. So it was an interesting event and it was nice to be there and, got to spend time with John. So that was nice.
Lucky.
We had a family gathering last weekend for an event, so haven't seen some of them in a while. And Jeremy had some hosting at his new house, so that was the first. And everything went great there. At work, it's a little quiet right now, so we actually were painting and decorating for Christmas. So that was a lot of fun because some of our employees, this is their first Christmas in Canada. So they didn't really know anything about Santa or Rudolph or the Grinch because these are some of the paintings that we put on the windows and telling them about it and how important it all is and how fun it is. It was really fun to do. So we did that at work. And we had to cut down a hedge this week. So Jeremy at his house has an 8-foot hedge that's like 4 feet wide and 8 feet tall. And he got a violation notice this week saying that the hedge needs to be cut down to 36 inches, which is 3 feet. So we had to cut it down from 8 to 3 feet. And they only gave us a week to do it. And this is not the time to be cutting down hedges, but still we got her done. And my mom pulled in some heavy waders and got some construction guys that she knows to get a chainsaw to actual cut because I tried it with the hedge clippers and I was trying with manually cutting the thick ones and it was taking me a long time. And so she called in these guys and they came and got it done in an hour. And our poor hedge is now a little shrub, but it's there. So that happened this week too. I taught a little bit of dance. And I'm actually going to be doing some catering this weekend. So that is going to be a first. I haven't been doing that because I find it's hard on my knee. So I've been trying to heal my knee and I think I'm ready. So I'll let you know how that goes next week. What about you, Elise?
Oh, well, it seemed to be a tiring week. I don't know if it's the weather with it getting dark so early now or just the excitement at my workplace, which is a school, is really high for the students. They're so excited about their elves and Santa and Rudolph and all those Christmas things that you talked about, Sheila.
Yeah.
So energy is really high. So you feel like you're putting out a lot of fires. But at the end of the week, so on Friday, we had our first Christmas party. It was Steven, my husband, his workplace's Christmas party. And it got to the end of the week and I'm like, this is the last thing I want to do. I want to go home. I want to be in my pajamas. I want to just watch a movie. But we got dressed up and we went to the event. And it's always tricky when you're going to your partner's workplace event because you're like, I don't know these people. What am I going to talk about? But it was so much fun.
Oh, that's great.
It was awesome. It was great to talk to people. We went out dancing. There was live music. So we had a lot of fun and it was just a great way to de-stress from the week.
Perfect.
So that was wonderful. And we have my workplace party next weekend. So hopefully it goes just as well.
Nice to have them spread out like that.
Mm-hmm.
We have some work parties going on this week. So I think we'll be talking about our Christmas parties next week. Well, thank you all for joining us. We're getting close to that 100th coming up. I can't believe it. So thank you so much. And we hope that you will join us next week. That is it for today's show. Please try and make wellness a priority.
You deserve it.
If you feel the need to talk to someone or ask for help, please do that.
Accept yourself for the person you are.
So long.
Adieu.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Goodbye.